Now I think it's time for another book review on the channel, and this one I'm stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit, but it was worth it. Hello everybody, welcome to Savage Flies. I'm Matt, thanks for stopping by. So the book I'm talking about, it was recommended by Joe Duca just a week or so ago. I picked it up, I've had the book for less than a week, but wow, I am amazed at this book, and I couldn't hold off any longer to do a review on it. So the book I'm talking about is John Shewey's Classic Steelhead Flies. So a little bit about John Shewey. He is a journalist, a photographer, an author, and obviously a steelhead fisherman and tyer. He comes from Oregon. He had about a dozen or so books available on Amazon, mostly focusing on the Oregon and the Pacific Northwest, and pretty much all of them focusing on some type of steelhead fishing or tying. Now about the book. Published by Stackpole in 2015, it's 270 pages, 6 chapters, 135 flies. Now it is a bit pricey still at $40, but is the book worth $40? Absolutely. I think it's underpriced at $40. This is basically a coffee table book. It's got a beautiful dust jacket on it, high gloss pages, beautiful color pictures, just a well done, well put together book. Now for the chapters, 6 chapters I mentioned. The first one, Golden Age of the Steelhead Fly. And I don't know if I mentioned, but most all the pictures in here are credited to John, so he really is an amazing photographer. So you got a short chapter on the Golden Age, and then you got a chapter on John Benn, who is one of the, I would say, pioneers of steelhead fishing. He came from San Francisco in the mid to late 1800s, was one of the first to go up to Northern California and Oregon and fish for this new fish that we didn't really know at the time. Was it a salmon or a trout, a salmon-like trout or trout-like salmon? That debate was still going on at the time, but John Benn was pretty much the first one to specifically target this new game fish with a fly rod. So if you're interested in that part of the history of our sport, this is an amazing and very well-researched chapter on that. Now the next chapter, 3, is just called Embracing the Classics. It's a pretty short chapter on a little bit of history on some of the specific flies, but then you get into the bulk of the book. Chapter 4 is the 135 flies. Now let's look at a couple of these for an example. So you get a lot of pages like this. Here's Ben's Martha and the Black Beauty. So you get some beautiful pictures and a good bit of history on each of the flies. Now here's another one, the Black Demon and Black Diamond. 2 beautiful flies, and you can see this 2 great pictures of these flies. Now after all the history and beautiful pictures of these 135 flies, he does have about 40 pages of tying instruction. So while this book is not specifically a history book or a pattern index, it is also a how-to tying book. And the instructions in here really are good. It's 40 pages of all kinds of tips and tricks, and then there toward the end, he goes through the exact tying instructions for 3 different flies. He goes through the Skycomish Sunrise, then Brad's Brat, and then the Silver Demon. So 3 pretty popular salmon flies that if you can learn to tie those, you can probably tie 90% of the flies in the book. So, who is this book for? Well, obviously it's for a steelhead fisherman and fly tyer, but more so than that, any of us East Coasters, I will sometimes see a steelhead pattern and just tie it in a smaller size as a wet fly. So steelhead flies, I would kind of place them as just a little bit more elaborate than some of our East Coast wet flies. Remember the Mary Orvis Marbury or the Ray Bergman trout flies? So they're not as fancy as the really old school Atlantic salmon flies that might take a couple hours for each pattern to tie, but some of them are just a little bit more flashy and a little bit more, I won't say exotic, but just a little bit more elaborate than some of the East Coast trout flies. So I don't mind tying them in smaller sizes and fishing them for trout, or tie them in the big steelhead sizes and fish them for smallmouth in the warm water rivers and lakes here in the East Coast. So overall, steelhead fly tying, it's not something I've gotten into a lot of, but it is something I'm getting interested in. Just reading this book makes me want to go out to Oregon and do some steelhead fishing. And a trip out there sometime in the next couple of years has just gone onto my to-do list. So okay, since this is Savage Flies and I like to give away a copy of the book that I just reviewed, we'll do that this one. How you enter if you're new here is just leave a comment. We're going to use the hashtag this time, Steelhead. So # Steelhead, no spaces. Doesn't matter if it's all caps or lowercase. The system will search the comments for that hashtag, Steelhead. And I'm publishing this video today, Saturday, May 15th. Sunday night, May 16th, at about 10 o'clock. I'll use a random comment picker to go through and just pick one of the comments that has the hashtag Steelhead, and we'll give this book away to you. Just my way to say thanks for supporting the channel. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all you do. That's it, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time.